right. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay. Okay, there we go. Starting to wonder. Y'all know whenever you try something different technologically, there's always some question marks. I tested this out a few times, seemed okay, but you never really know until you actually go live with it. Anyway, there we go. Well, welcome back to the Onyx Report, Black Masculinist news for the day. Hope everybody's well. I wanted to drop in and have a little bit of a discussion about a few things. And as many of you know, I used to do, a couple lives a month. And now I'm doing daily pre-recorded videos. And I still try to do like roughly 1 live every week, every 2 weeks. But today I was hoping to get a chance to have a bit of a discussion. Maybe some of you come up if you have any particular stories, because I wanted to talk a little bit about 2 things. I wanted to talk a little bit about pitbulling, and I wanted to talk a little bit about anti-Black misandry. So for those who don't know, we're going to get into that. I'll give a breakdown of what those are and give you an opportunity to come up and talk about some of the subjects that we've been dealing with lately. So shout out to everybody that's in here. Appreciate y'all coming through. I know with as many shows as I've been doing, a lot of people don't know when it's live, when it isn't. Shout out to Prince. What's going on? Malika, as usual. It's good to see you in here, good brother. SCR broadcast. What's going on? We got Grab Second Gear. MOSFET. Ahmed, what's up? Corey. Sir Lavo. What's going on, y'all? Share the light. We got DN 30,001. Horowitz, what's happening? Okay. Yami, what's up? 2Triv, what's going on? Indigo. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Blue Collar, what's up, man? Good to see you in here. Looks like we will need to do in a day or two, or probably about 2 days, we'll need to do our next film on Patreon. So if you haven't already, you can support the show here. You got the Cash App, you got the Venmo, you got the PayPal, and of course you got YouTube. You can support that way, or you can come on to Patreon and you can actually support by either supporting the Onyx Report, the Institute for Black Male Studies, both. You can do that. You can also sign up at the lowest level to get access to shows that I won't be able to show on YouTube. And if you sign up at the film review level, you can come in live as we discuss key films. So we do that on the 1st and 15th of every month. Let me see what the next film is going to be. All right. So we're looking at May 1st. So I think we're going to review the film Him with Marlon Wayans. So if you're interested in reviewing the film, sign up for the film review level on Patreon, and you can jump up live and discuss with us as we go. All right. Let's see. Let's continue. Michael in the building. Arena, what's up? So you got a lot of people in here. On the clock, what's going on? All right. Ken, glad you could come into a live. Good to see you in here. Andre, what's up? See TCW, what's going on? W Hawkins, Ilongo, got Spoken Soul, what's up? Yeah. So anyway, glad y'all could come through. As I said, this is an experiment I'm trying to set up a secondary studio. So it works a little differently from my original. So all the things I'm comfortable with are different here. So y'all let me know if everything's okay. all that good stuff. So lately, we've been doing a lot of work toward pit bullying, and y'all know the deal when I talk about pit bullying. And by the way, hopefully you saw the logo for the show, or the thumbnail for the show. What you might not know is that the merchandise store is up and it is doing a lot of good stuff. So if you haven't seen it in a while, the link is in the description box. We got all new merchandise. We pretty much, for the last 2 to 3 months, there have been new things every week. I want to say maybe 2.5 months, something like that. So we got the Note Pitbulling. This is the second version. The first one we came out with a couple months ago, so I upgraded it. And pitbulling, if you're not sure what that means, it's really when black women, use black males against other black males, simply as a flex much of the time. Nobody has a problem with, black men protecting their own. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about when black men are arbitrarily used like assassins or missiles or pit bulls, simply because she likes to flex. Many a man has found himself in jail or dead behind acting like someone else's pit bull. So we stand against pit bullying over here. So you can see the merchandise around that. There's some stuff for the Onyx Report. There's some stuff for the Institute for Black Male Studies. We got all kinds of stuff: mugs, caps, shirts, bags, quarter zips, the whole kind of deal. So if this is anything you're interested in, you can go to the Institute for Black Male Studies myshopify.com, and then make sure you hyphenate between the words the Institute for Black Male Studies, and go from there. And you can see some of the different things made available. I'll show you some of the original. So there you got the original No More Pit Bullying on the mugs over there on the right. We also have some for blue leashing, and that is when black women use courts, or police, courts, or any law enforcement organization against black males as a method of control. So we call that blue leashing over here. So just a few things for you to take into account as far as that's concerned, right? So check that out if and when you're so inclined, and talk to us a little bit about what's up, BGS in the house. Hit the like button if you will. Come on up and talk to us a little bit about blue leashing. If you have any, pit bullying. If you have any stories from that, if you have any examples of that you've witnessed or experienced in your life, I'm going to drop the link. Allow people to come up and briefly share what they may have experienced. And as I said, as I'm testing this studio out, hopefully everything goes smoothly and that I can hear everybody and you can hear me and all that good stuff. But I thought I'd give it a try. Okay, so come on up and we'll go from there. Until that point, there's a lot to cover. And there's actually a broadcast I might go through depending on how many of you come up. What I did want to say, though, is one of the things we've been noticing is a lot of, I guess, what people are calling crashing out these days. It's a lot going on in the mainstream news, mainstream black news at that. And a lot of it is centered around society and women, most particularly, having an adverse reaction to black men speaking up. In the black community, in this last few weeks alone, we've seen some tragic murder suicides. We've seen some tragic situations going on. And of course, on the lighter end of things, there have been discussions about celebrities cheating, breaking up, and so on and so forth. And then you have all these campaigns where you have folks who want to sabotage relationships and cheat as a form of protest to punish men, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of drama going on right now, and I understand that. But at the same time, I'm seeing men speaking up in ways that I've never seen before. And I'm happy to see it. But I just kind of wanted to give it some context. What's up, Dead Set? Good to see you in here, man. Long live the king. Appreciate that support. All right. Locksmith, what's going on? I'm listening. What's happening? Yeah. So that what I was saying though, is just to give some context to this. There's been a lot of crashing out because historically, Black men have been relatively silent. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that we didn't have a platform. And of course, prior to social media, there was no easy way for everyday Black men to get on the same stage and have a conversation and be able to be heard about our perspectives. That wasn't happening. So now that it's happening, you're seeing feminists in particular having an adverse reaction to men speaking up, men wanting to be heard, and men not accepting what we're given permission to think. And that's one of the biggest issues. That's one of the biggest issues going on right now that speaks to the frustration that many women are having with Black men especially. We are not following the line that we've been given. We're not following the contract that was, kind of pushed onto us about telling us how to think, telling us what to say, telling us what not to say. Now you have men coming from all different kinds of backgrounds who are articulating themselves, and they don't care whether or not it's acceptable, whether or not it's accepted. They're speaking up, and I'm happy to see it. Right, but the response from that speaking up is even more incredulity, shock, if you will. How dare these men not follow the established line? When we're upset, you're supposed to be upset. What we're upset about, you're supposed to care about. But Black men are actually articulating themselves. And I'd say in this last 10 to 15 years, we've seen that happening in ways that I've never seen publicly spoken out on before. And I think a lot of people are having trouble accepting that. So first and foremost, I just want to say shout out to all of you that have been outspoken about our concerns, about your concerns, who participated in the comment sections to a variety of videos and articulated their experiences, related it to the content. And even if you'd agreed or disagreed with what I had to say, you engaged it and you took it into yourself, decided what you wanted to do with it. And many of you have used it in your own discussions, with others around you about Black men. So we're not seeing Black men following the script. We talked about, or I did a video a little while ago about the film Michael. And one could argue that it seemed to me that filmmakers wanted us to be quiet. They wanted us to have the same reaction many had when the first Color Purple came out. And I'd say at the time, alongside a healthy dose of shock, a lot of Black men, again, didn't have a platform to respond anyway. And we had never really witnessed that type of betrayal, that type of attack on Black men, using ideas that were designed by white women for white men, and seeing them arbitrarily used against Black men, many of us felt was a serious betrayal, and it was ahistorical. It was a fabrication we were told was historical. You know what I'm saying? And so because of that, you're actually seeing Black men speaking up now that we're able to, and we're not following the script that we're given. So when Michael came out, we were having conversations pretty quickly, and we're doing it before this next film comes out, Is God Is, and we're talking to each other about what it's likely to be about. Now, there may be a twist. Well, maybe we'll find it isn't what we think it is. I doubt it, but it is what it is. That said, though, we're familiar with the lineage, and lineage in this context, I'm not talking about racial lineage. I'm not talking about people at all. I'm talking about the media narrative lineage that this film Is God Is, and to some extent, Michael comes out of. Michael's a lot more soft-shoed about it, but it's still dealing with this whole question of, the Black male threat, the Black male monster. But nobody wants to really admit, at least outside of circles like ours, that if it wasn't for Joe Jackson, they would have been another family in Gary, Indiana. Put it to you this way. If Catherine, the mother of the family, was a single mother, or if Joe was the kind of man that pretty much catered to his wife, and she had her way about the raising of the family, you all tell me, Would the Jackson 5 ever existed? You let me know what you think about that. All right, so we have our first person up. Now, again, hopefully I'm going to be able to hear them. So y'all know how we do when it comes into new things. Bear with me. Let me see here. All right. Ian, what's good, man? Can you hear me? Hello, Ian? I can't hear anything. Ian, can you hear me?
Hear you? Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you, man. I thought my earphones was the problem, man. How you doing, man? I ain't seen you in a minute.
Yeah, man. I'm doing good. Man. How you been doing?
Man, I can't complain, man. You know, I thought about you a couple weeks ago. I said, I wonder what that brother been up to, man. What you out there doing, man? You causing trouble everywhere? What's happening?
Everywhere, all the time, bro. All the time.
What's good with you? Well, I'm asking people. Oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, go. Oh yeah, no. Restate what you were asking again.
I was saying I was asking people to share their stories about pitbulling, where you've seen, you know, black men be used as assassins, most particularly toward other black men. But as a long-standing guest to the show, man, you know, if you want to drop something else, you're absolutely welcome to. Ian been here since the beginning, so you know.
Oh yeah, yes sir. Ride or die, bro.
It's been about 8 years now, man, since I got started, and you've been here for the majority of that. So I want to thank you for the support, man.
Yes, man. I thank you because we gotta thank you because again, as I said before, man, loving and appreciating other black men. You know what I'm saying? That's the best. That's been the biggest blessing in my life. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, loving myself. And your show is integral to that. You know what I'm saying? Your positive messaging, your intro, all of that, everything that you do is geared toward black men loving and respecting themselves and loving other black men. So, man, shout out to you, bro. You are a lifesaver, as you know, to many men. You know what I'm saying? And you have enhanced the quality of life of us all, for sure.
Wow.
For sure.
Wow, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. What was on your mind, man? What made you want to get up today?
Up here? Man, I've been trying to catch you because, man, you've been dropping so many videos lately, bro. God.
yeah. I mean, you know, I looked at it and I said, well, I don't have 1 million subs, but when I looked at the statistics, the odds of getting over 40,000 is astronomical in and of itself. So I said, if I have this much support from brothers, you know, let me see what I can add to the conversation. Because I took a break. I really dialed down the last couple of years because I started seeing black men speaking up. Which was something
I know you did.
I didn't.
But
I didn't expect to see
though. That's you, bro. That's you, nigga.
All I know is it wasn't, you know, I mean, I think you might be around my age, you know, it wasn't something I expected to see in my lifetime, to be honest with you. And when it started happening, I got quiet because I was like, man, this is cool. I'm glad the brothers are speaking up. Maybe I don't need to be here. Because my concern was, you know, whether or not we had the vocabulary, the will to say what we needed to say. And so I just kind of took some time to listen, and I listened to where the conversation was going. And I said, okay, well, we're dealing with relationships. We're dealing with I said, let me add in some of the things I think are still important, but I'm still ecstatic about brothers being outspoken. You know, even this last couple of weeks about all this conversation about the murder suicides, you and I both know in past decades, when they would blame all black men, we just had to sit and take it. Yeah. And now you got brothers that are speaking up, you know, that are like, nah, you can't put this on everybody's, you know, at everybody's doorstep. Nah. And brothers are being way more outspoken than I thought. And I shed a tear a couple of times in the last couple of years watching brothers speak up the way they have been, man. So anyway, I
mean, you got to, because I mean, you have inspired a lot of this, bro. A lot of this, especially giving me the foundation, you know, because when I met you, I was just getting into reparations at the same time, and that reparations and getting in together with you and this, it was man, it set me on fire. It set me on fire, bro.
Yeah, it's an interesting era because there was a lot of things starting out at roughly the same time. You're right. The reparations push, the Black Manosphere push is also they all kind of overlap. Black male studies, so many things came out at roughly the same time, and they each had their own trajectory, but it was really a lot of the same people in each discussion, participating in different strains, different, So it's an interesting time to be alive, as they say.
It's a great time because because everything that we're saying online is going straight to the political and the political apparatus, right? And the social apparatus, bro. Our voice is being heard very loud, even though there might not be. I don't know how many. There's quite a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? I think now there's quite a lot of us, especially like you said. I haven't dialed all the way down, but man, sometimes I can just take a break because I'll say something, or if I see some other brothers that I've never seen, right, and never been on this, they're like, hold up. They're like, hold up, because all of what you taught, what Tommy Curry taught, bro, it seems like that message is spreading like wildfire, and even if nothing else, the feminists, they have to address it, even if we're not addressing them. They have to address it because they see how powerful it is.
Yeah. I like I said, man, I think the first time it really kicked me in the head to see that brothers were speaking up. I can't remember what the issue was, but I think it was on Twitter or X, and it was another, misandrist up there talking about Black men. And so, I'm like, all right, I grabbed my phone. I'm getting ready to go, place some counter arguments in there. And the next thing I know, she just got swamped by 10 brothers that just ran in there, and they had they were raising questions and putting in critiques and dropping statistics. I hadn't even typed the first letter.
Yeah.
And I was watching this happen, and every time another one would come through, I was like, what is going on?
Yes.
And I shed a tear. I was like, I wanted to see this happen, but I didn't think it was going to happen this quick. And it's been like that ever since.
Like I said, bro, it's not even just, it's the fact that you gave the information, and you put the love and the purpose behind it as well. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, man,
these brothers are stepping up because they love each other and they care about each other. And you were the main one pushing that message to love and respect other brothers, bro.
Man,
for real.
Man, I'm grateful for that. Shout out to Interlight Radio, Interlight Radio in the house, Black-owned online radio stations. Support them. Broadcasting on Interlight starting in a couple minutes, and we're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course YouTube. So anyway, man, you're welcome.
I just love singing your praises, bro. Like I said, man. Bro, when I look out here, when I see another brother, man, all I see is love and respect, bro. And again, that's based on you. That's y'all. That's all you, bro. That's all you. I was on a road, bro. But to this degree, bro, you don't even understand, bro. You don't even understand.
Man. Hey, I appreciate it, man, and I appreciate you, fam.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, you let me know what you want to do. You're welcome to stay up if you got to go. I understand.
Yeah, I'll stay up. Yeah, let me stay up. Let me stay up.
Okay. I'm letting people come up and talk about pitbulling. And I didn't give anybody any warning. I had to go teach a class today in person, and had to make a stop off to visit my stepfather in the rehab. Shout out to George. Hope you're getting better, man. They're going to release him Saturday, so the family's getting ready for all of that. So I got a lot going on, and I said, you know what? Let me do a live today and get this going. So I didn't give anybody any warning, but still, we got 194 in the building. So hit the like button, share, subscribe, join, donate, hit the hype button, all that good stuff. And to the extent that people may not be ready to come through, because I did this with no warning, there is something I was sent. Shout out to Passport OG, sent me an interview on NPR with Professor Mark Anthony Neal. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of that up and just comment on some of what he says. I'm not promising to get through the whole thing. I'm going to put it, y'all know me, I put everything on 1.5 speed So I'm going to speed it up a little. The whole thing is about 38 minutes. I don't know if we'll get through the whole thing or not. It's not really a priority for me that we do. But yeah, unless some of you want to come up and give some examples. Hold on, let me get this up. What's up, Malika?
Peace, big homie. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Oh, I can't complain, man. Just chilling.
Oh,
Peace to you, brother Ian. How you doing, man?
What's good? What's good?
Yeah. So what's good with you, Malika? What's going on?
I got 2 incidents to tell you about. It's kind of combination of pitbulling and blue leashing.
All right.
Now, you know, and a few other brothers online that we talked to behind the scenes, I used to be a police officer for about 11 and a half years. And about 4 or 5 years into my career, I was in a bad relationship with a sister, and we were breaking up. And I had some things in her car, and I was trying to get some of my stuff out of her car as we were breaking up. And she screams out, "Get the F away from my car." I said, "Let me get my stuff." She said, "No."
Wow.
So I'm walking over there to get the stuff. And she said, "If you don't get away from my car, I'm going to call your police district." And that's when I was like, oh. And right then and there, like how you said, how quickly they will change on you and they will use something against you. And that was like, oh, wow. And I remember repeating that to a friend of mine who was a police officer. And he says, be careful, because women will turn on you, and they will quickly turn on you. And I remember there was one other incident. There was a police officer who's like working inside, which is usually secretarial work. And she had a little verbal altercation with a sergeant. And the sergeant, you know, that's a supervisor. And he told her, "You need to do X, Y, and Z. You need to chill out." And she got mad. And she said, "That's okay. I'll call my husband." Now, her husband is also a police officer. Okay. He's not a man of any rank, but he's a police officer. But then I happened to be there. I happened to look. She said, "That's okay. I'm going to call my husband." And she gets on her cell phone and calls him. And dude was about to come up there and about to get with a sergeant. Now, mind you, we're all police officers. We're talking about rank, but she's going to pitbull her husband to get mad at a supervisor for her attitude. And I was like, you know, both of y'all could lose your jobs and go to jail, and he could go to jail for over something stupid because of your attitude. Yeah. But but come to find out, she always has this personality. If she ever got into an incident with somebody, or if ever somebody was like that, she would always call her husband. And her husband would be her simp enforcer, and he'd be quick, ready to jump and do something. I was like, wow. But until I got in these circles and we would talk and we were exchange, and then, like you said, now we have a particular vocabulary, and you break down so eloquently in a very logical, in a very educated manner, what blue leashing is and what pitbulling was. You start to really, can I use a Matrix reference?
Yeah,
you start to see the code like Neo.
Yeah.
Like when you go out, also you start to see this streaming green code when, like, you really start seeing things. And here's the crazy part, what cracks me up, where there's a brother named Jet Black that's on YouTube, and he came up with the term hybristophilia. And I never heard of the term until he said, you know, for other brothers out there that don't know what hybristophilia means, it's how the way women, but especially our women in the Black community, are really, really sexually attracted to violence and to aggression. And if you ever notice that, kind of like when I gave you that text yesterday or today about how the way Viltrumite women are similar to Black women.
Right.
And how the way our black women will actually put their own men's lives in danger just for the fact of you have to defend my honor.
Right.
Or they expect you to defend their honor, or it could, and here's 9 times out of 10, especially when I was a police officer, and also when you can see in your personal life that they're 80% of the instigators and agitators of these particular domestic situations. Or if it's just something that happens where they said something, they did something, and they get with a man that doesn't back down. Or you don't even have to be physical. You could just not agree.
Yeah.
Or you could not do anything that doesn't comply with what she wants to do. I've been in situations as a police officer where if a woman's angry at a man, if he stays out late, if something simple,
right,
he's hanging out with his boys, he should have came home, he comes home late. Or as many guys, they come home a little drunk and she's mad, or whatever the issue is, she's mad, but now she's provoking him and she calls him, and here we hear, you know, he's got a warrant, or he's got this, or he's got that. And you know, the white boy cops are quick to go and search and do all the other stuff. And I'm like, for real? Now you want to? And like the black cops, like, for real, now we going to do this? And even the black female cops, some black female cops would say, for real? This is what you're doing? They're like, you know, but then I remember one situation, one black female cop stood up and she said, you know, you're going to have him back here tomorrow.
Wow.
She said, he a little drunk, you mad because he came in drunk, but now you want us to lock him up because he got an illegal gun and he got weed and all this other stuff. But you know you're going to be calling him back either tomorrow or the next day. And he's going to be back here and y'all going to be back here doing this. So do you really want us to lock up and go through all this?
Look, I've seen women sabotage marriages. I've seen them break down households, knowing full well that he's the primary provider, right? He's the breadwinner, and knowing full well that calling him to do this one thing is likely going to get him arrested, if not killed. I've seen men go to jail, houses collapse, she moving her and herself and the kids in with her friends at her mama's house. I've seen all of it collapse because she wanted to flex on somebody at a given moment at the expense of all of the stability of her household. And she's willing to do it. And this is how deep it goes, because even if he ends up going to prison, by the time he gets out, some of these cats have to start over again completely in terms of income. And those women will have nothing to say. There's no apology. There's no acknowledgement. If anything, there's pressure on him to provide, as if he's, you know, failing at that, knowing full well that by pushing that button and calling him and telling him this person did this to me, even if the person didn't, or if she severely exaggerated it. You know what I mean? Look, at other periods of time, I remember when black women used to have conversations among themselves about what they chose not to share with their husbands, boyfriends, brothers, fathers, because they knew what could happen to those men in the wrong situation. So they were very careful about what they decided to share. And in some incidents, they sacrificed it because they knew it wasn't worth their father's lives, their brothers, their boyfriends and husbands. I don't hear that conversation anymore. But go ahead.
Remember, to connect what you said, remember Maya Angelou's with her history when she got SA'd when she was a little girl, until she found out the men in her family and her circle, what they did to her assailant. And even though that she felt bad, even though that she was a victim of this tragic thing, she realized the power of her tongue got that man missing. And you know, I think because the lust of power, or pseudo power, or power that you're getting by proxy, and not seeing us as human, you don't see your own men as human and of any value besides us being beneficial to you for your needs, other than just being a human being. You know,
yeah.
You know, you're not like how you always have those different archetypes of men. We're not the CompuServe. We're not the pit bulls. We're not the blue leashers. We're not walking phallises or ATMs. You know, I can do whatever it is that I want when I want, and I will take the risks of the investigation. But I know at least along lines of the investigation, you're still going to feel suffering because, you know, we're still perceived as guilty until proven innocent.
Right. Now let me hold on one second. Wesley, just letting you know your camera's on, so you let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you want to come up on video or not. So you just let me know before I bring you up. And just to be clear, I have no problem with you having your cameras on at all. I just, you know, I want you to make sure you guys know you guys have decided and it's not an accident. All right, so I'm bringing Wesley in as well, but go ahead and finish your point, Malika.
No, that was it, brother.
Okay,
going with the other brother.
No, I appreciate it, man. These are things that we have to talk about, because I've had because look, you know, on the merchandise I showed you, this definition is prominently on the back for pitbulling and blue leashing. The definition is on the back of the shirt, and it looks exactly like what you're seeing on the screen. Same image, same font, everything, and it's in big bold letters. And I've had people say, well, you know, how dare you point this out? You should really focus on getting black men to stop, you know, deleting each other. And I'm like, well, first, we've been having those conversations since, you know, the 70s and 80s. I mean, there's not been a time in my life where I haven't heard, you know, black men not only speaking against the deletion of one another, but I've also heard black women arguing with black men about, you know, stopping that. So we've been having that discussion. I have no problem with it. I support the discussion where we actually stop deleting one another. But nobody, to my knowledge, has talked about pitbulling and has actually, you know, made it a point of concern that we have to focus on. So if this comes up when you're raising the issue of pitbulling and people take issue with it, just point out this is as much a phenomenon as anything else, and nobody's talking about it. So to the extent that I add to the conversation, you don't have to like it, but I'm not going to pretend like it's not happening, because I've seen too many black men on their way to death's door or prison door over bullshit. And we act like none of this has anything to do with women. And I'm talking everything from girlfriends and boyfriends to wives and husbands to mothers and sons, where young men are called in to attack simply because she can. Wesley, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, wow. I can actually hear you really well. This is cool.
That's good. Good.
I wasn't sure if I'd be able to. I'm just trying this out. Go ahead and contribute to this. We're talking about pitbulling. You let me know what you want to add to this.
Actually, I have two examples, one of pitbulling and one of blue leashing, both of which I've experienced. As far as the pitbulling, the way that I experienced this is with my mother and my stepfather. The pitbulling that she had done was one of the main reasons why she even chose him, was to keep my father away, which at the time my father wasn't trying to bother with her or get to her, but she felt the need to have this. And at that time, I even called it, you know, being like the junkyard dog, which I kind of, you know, ironic that you call it pitbulling. As far as the blue leashing, I had a situation that happened a couple of years ago. Matter of fact, while we were in COVID, in the middle of COVID and still during the lockdown, where I was staying with a cousin of mine, and this cousin, it was a kind of a distant cousin, like a third, fourth cousin, but this cousin wanted to be intimate with me, and I refused to do so. And she positioned to just suddenly, the very same day, put 3 phone calls in within a span of 8 hours to get the police to get me out of her apartment.
What?
Because at the time, I didn't have a place to go. And I was trying to get another apartment of my own during COVID and while the banks were closed. But because there was nothing open, there was nowhere I could nowhere I could go. And I found it like really not that it left a bad taste in my mouth. I kind of expected that, she would try and leverage things this way. But what I didn't expect was when we went to court over it, the judge actually tried to justify what she did to say, oh, even during COVID, you should have found somewhere else to go, which, as we well know, that was impossible. So I had personally developed, some kind of thought process as far as dealing with this as a phenomenon. If we are going to deal with this in any kind of way, the only way that I think the rest of the system will respect it is to crash the car. The law system being the car, so to speak, the law enforcement and the judges being in the driver's seat. But even as we are the passengers, we challenge the system against itself. We're supposed to be operating according to, equal protections under the law, right? So if they don't exhibit or demonstrate that in effort crashes the car.
Okay. I
So
hear you there.
That's the only way I could see that this would actually succeed, because now you would have the judges who think they're untouchable. Now you're liable.
Right.
Because you're not even operating by law.
Okay. Was it just the one, or did you have another story connected to that? Because I think you said it was blue leashing and pitbulling. I just wanted to make sure, was it one or two stories?
Those were the 2 stories.
Oh,
the
okay.
The pitbulling was with my mother and my stepfather. The blue leashing was with this cousin.
Okay. Cool. I appreciate you coming up. And by the way, I have no problem with anybody having their cameras on. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of it. But I wasn't suggesting that you should turn it off, just to be clear. But thanks for coming on up, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I really enjoy your program.
Thank you. We got Byron up in here. Let's see. You want to go ahead and add to this, Byron?
Yes, sir. First of all, appreciate this space, Dr. Teacher. My story would be blue leashing, and I work at a job in hospital, and we have to talk about the pitbulling and the blue leashing of the effeminate male, where you got the LGBT male, and how they will use, their female counterparts against you. And you can say, just to talk about different topics, but as soon as you're like up against the grain, the effeminate male will get their black females up against you, and then you call yourself defending yourself, and then is I guess talk back with like, I'm going to report you to HR. And I'm like, wow. it's I mean, you're dealing with a male, which pretty much embodies a female. And
can you speak to what they were accusing? Are you talking about, is this something that happened to you, or are you talking about more just in general?
Both myself and in general.
Okay.
And the fact that, and with myself, well, I would say even today, I call myself, I'm working. I work in the docks of the hospital, and he's like, we got so much stuff coming in, and he gets to talk about his business on the phone and goes off and do whatever he wants to do. When I'm still there working my butt off. And I'm like, wow. I mean, he gets all the privileges of a female, but as a male.
Okay.
And you question that, it's like, oh, so is that how it is? And you would think as a male, you think he'll square up to you. His defense is like, oh, I just report you to HR.
Okay.
And you know, as me as a man, knowing what that means, and you have to see that he's a man, but he's reporting you to HR as a woman.
For questioning him leaving you with the workload.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying, but you're saying he's taking advantage of the fact that he's more likely to be believed.
Yes.
And taken seriously. And you're kind of treated as if you need to shut up and take it.
Yeah. I am the man. Like, I work with, it's him and another woman. And I'm like, well, it just means I'm the only man with two female co-workers.
Right.
I mean, I have a male there, but he's the avatar of a woman.
Okay. Okay. But see, part of what you're also touching on to is what I've brought up many a time is feminization, where more and more of us are finding ourselves in predominantly female environments at work, at school, and a number of these different places. And part of the problem with that is, they develop a culture among themselves.
Yeah.
To talk about certain issues, to focus on certain issues. And we don't often, have that kind of impact, that kind of access.
Right.
So you find yourself overwhelmed and outnumbered, where you can be repeatedly reported. They have certain tactics where to get you fired, there's only a certain number of reports and that need to go into your file, and they'll strategize doing some of this because you're the only male in the space, and you don't fit into the culture, the climate that they want to create.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something we've seen happen. Absolutely.
I mean, it's wild. It's like, and I have to remind myself, like, I'm talking to a man, but his mindset is female. And you have to really be careful because they will believe him over you.
Yeah. And if you try to point out all of the gender dynamics, you're dismissed.
Oh yeah. That's Exodia obliterated.
Yeah. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ian, Malika, if y'all want to say anything about any of the stories that are told, you're absolutely welcome to. But yeah, man, these are the kind of issues that we didn't often have a vocabulary for. So, this is the reason we have to establish one. We have to create the language. Because when I was in graduate school, they told me that the feminist framework, the feminist vocabulary was sufficient. And it would include anything, even in advance, anything Black men needed to say. And this is coming verbatim from some of my professors, that feminism's already done the work. If anything, Black men just need to keep up, get caught up by studying feminism, and they could use this terminology to articulate themselves. And what I found is that we had different experiences. We had different concerns. We had different frustrations. And, and one of the things I noticed with feminism, and Black feminism in particular, is there was no language for self-critique. There was no language that included them in the critique. Therefore, it was difficult to craft one using their language and vocabulary because there was no framework in their minds where they were, they needed to be critiqued. So that was part and parcel why we had to develop something alternative to that. Anything else, Byron, before I take you down, that you want to add to this?
No, sir. I appreciate this space that you created, and keep going. Keep it at. I mean, your legacy. I mean, you're amazing, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the support. I'll holler at you later, man. All right. So we have Ty, Arena Revised in the house. Oh, what's up, Ty? What's going on?
What's good? Can you hear me, brothers?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's going on?
Oh man, just have one of them weeks that's up and down. I got an offer for a new gig in a couple of weeks, so onward and upward. So feeling good about that. So But I actually wanted to address something that Malika said and something you alluded to about the rhetorical deflections that are levied against us when we bring up this issue of pit bullying, right? One you specifically spoke of was, well, how come you guys don't talk about deleting each other, which is a straw man. We've talked about that for decades, as you mentioned. But let me give you an example. You guys, there was a woman that went viral years ago on her platform talking about, it was a clip, like a 30-second clip, and she said, you females, you don't know how strong your mouth is. You know, you have an argument with a brother on the block, instead of just leaving it there, but you call your brothers, you call whoever, and now these cats are going through it the whole, you know, people are dying, you know, people are going to funerals, people going through it all month, and that's because all these wars started because of your mouth, right? When you could have just left it on the block. I didn't know who she was until she started appearing as a guest and now a panelist on the Joe Budden show, and her name was Mona. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she was the first person I saw that was female and black that was pointing the finger at women saying, you have caused a lot of these deaths. So the brothers, I would say, one of the rhetorical devices that you would use is say, these things are intertwined. You can't address one without the other. And if you want to talk about brothers deleting each other and you don't want to talk about this form of proxy violence, then you're not an honest actor and I don't have to listen to you.
Right. Because what's the name of the comedian? Is it Charleston White? What's the name? The comedian?
Yeah. The one with the crooked eye?
I saw him do an interview once where he talked about asking, I think he was in a prison or something, and he started asking the brothers there how many of them were there because of a woman. And he said there was a wave of hands in the air. And the thing I noticed about that is, you know, if nobody had asked, there would have been no indication, and we would have just comfortably remained in the narrative that, you know, black men just do shit, go to jail. That's the end of the discussion. But when he asked how many of you are here in relation to a woman, and those hands went up in the air, that's a part of the discussion that nobody has. Right. Yeah. So, you know, and I don't have a problem with black men being held accountable. That's not my issue. My issue is when we get so comfortable in that narrative that we want to dance around uncomfortable truths as it relates to women and sometimes even girls. If they're instigating events that end up leading to men ending up in prison or dead, then at the very least they can be part of the discussion on the matter. And need to be part of the discussion on the matter, and we don't do that. We clear the space so that women don't have to be held accountable. But the problem with that is it leaves us in a vulnerable position, and it leaves most particularly feminist-minded or gynocentric-minded folk comfortable pointing the finger at black men, absolving women of any responsibility. And so it becomes, to me, what I noticed, and we've seen this in the last couple of weeks, the entitlement level of women goes through the roof because they've grown a few decades comfortable knowing that all the ills in the community are caused by black men. Because that's how we have allowed the conversation to go. Yep. And so they get so comfortable in that entitlement that, you know, like when we found out about the Fairfaxes and the family in Shreveport, and you know, God rest the dead. But when those conversations came up, notice how entitled so many women were to come up and say, black men are the cause of all of this. Yeah. Well, you know, and so I had a couple of discussions with a few feminists in my private life. And when I started sharing the statistics that they didn't know about in terms of women's participation in intimate partner violence and intimate partner homicide, the immediate reaction, and I think this is the case with anybody that takes what you're saying seriously, was that they paused and they were hit with new information and had to reframe how they understood these things, because they'd never heard the data that illustrates women's participations or the rates of violence or homicide. They'd only heard that it only comes from one source. I mean, I even showed a video where a woman got up and she said, see, black men kill us twice as much as, you know, as white men kill white women. And when I pointed out that black women were abusing black men at 6 times the rate white women do, she was, you know, you could tell women like her had no frame of reference for that, because the information is never presented to them in a way that involves them, that in a way that illustrates their participation.
Everything is funneled through the Duluth model.
Absolutely.
Everything is funneled through the Duluth model. And when you start defining what happens, they define women out of the definition. And that's what has been going on with black men in the reverse for hundreds of years. Like, by definition, there's no such thing as a white woman having consensual sex with a black man over the course of the centuries, right? So if you had sex with her, it was rape. And the reverse we have with or grape. I'm sorry, I don't want to mess with your channels.
I do the same thing. Yeah.
Right. But in the reverse now, in the inverse is now, it's with domestic violence, like you said, the clock doesn't start. And the question I always ask these women is, when I was in sports media and, you know, I was working with Mamiya at Voice for Men, I would always ask the question, at what point does a man have the right to defend himself? And they can't answer that question. Right.
Yeah. No, they can't. And again, you can kind of, and I'm not, how do I put this? I'm not giving them an excuse, but at the same time, I can understand how they've become so entitled because nobody's presented them with the alternative. Now, to me, the measure of quality of spirit is once you share the information, do they have the maturity, the wisdom, and the capability to say, you know what? I didn't know that, and then change their thinking in accordance with accurate information, or do they double down on it? And that to me is where the real measure comes in.
Can I say something, Doc? Not to cut in. 9 times out of 10, they're going to double down, because if they take the information and want to change their mind, for number one, they have to be held accountable for decades of disrespect and painting your men with a wide brush. Right. Number two, you're giving up a certain amount of pseudo power, meaning that you have to come to the table, first of all, with respect, and also seeing your men as humane, not just as objects, or seeing them as something that is, you're just there. And also, you're going to have to want to separate yourself from the gynocracy. You see, when you're doing that, you're separating yourself from that gynocracy, and also you're getting out of the matrix yourself.
Right.
You know, to use that other matrix analogy, there was only very few people in Zion. So a lot of these women don't want to come out of the gynocracy because they don't know how to act any other way. And plus, if they get out of the gynocracy, they're going to be seen as outcasts just as well as, you know, oh, you a pick me. Oh, you just doing that because you want a man or you need a man.
Right.
And this is where but this is the crazy part. You're listening and rationalizing it. Wait, oh. A lot of these facts, data and statistics, like I say, you're presenting facts, data and statistics, and you tell them, no, you go do the research, you present something. And they see it, and like I say, you see their face change, like you see the wheels turning.
Right.
And you see, you know, they kind of start fritzing like a fembot. And now they're realizing that they cannot lie. They cannot just deal with anything on emotion, and they're coming out of delusion. And you just can't go by anecdotal information. So now it's like, when you look at them, it's like, so do you see me and other men as human? And you're going to come at this at a respectful way, and that's where you're left with the gap, because now the ball is in their court.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Doc. So I want to give you an example. Actually, it's an example from my mother realizing it's sort of the reverse of pitbulling. She had a chance to do it. She told me the story when I was in my 30s or 40s. So my godfather in Los Angeles, he was one of them street shot callers back in the 70s. He was in extortions, drug dealing, pimping, all that stuff, right? he was really, really about that life. And so my mom, when we were living somewhere in West LA around the La Cienega area, she got into an altercation verbally with her landlord. And it got really, really escalated. And my mom likes to talk, and she likes to talk for hours. So she got on the phone with a couple of people and just to let off some steam, and she talked with my godfather about it. And the story she told me is like, do you want me to do something about it? And she knew the type of dude he had on his payroll, right? Bodies would drop. And she told him no. And she said I couldn't have it on my conscience. And she told me that in my 30s, but I had already realized that as Black men, we know that it doesn't matter the most bougie, most genteel sister who has a PhD, all the way down to the most gully ratchet sister that's, that she might have been banging, she might be a stud or whatever. They all know somebody who's a touch tone away, who's a text away, who's on that type of time that they can deploy. Yeah. All of them know it. Yeah. And you have to move like that when you're at work or anything else. I don't get into arguments with women at work. I just don't. Because you just never know who's going to show up.
Yeah.
So.
Especially over something fairly trivial.
Yeah.
For anybody it doesn't even have to get to the point of losing life. To lose your employment, even. Especially in a fucked up economy, excuse my language, but in a jacked up economy, to lose your income over something trivial, that in and of itself is a waste. I mean, people got kids to feed. We can't afford for this kind of triviality to be going on. So I appreciate it.
We don't have safety nets.
No, and we don't. We absolutely don't.
So what is the term when we talk about blue leashing? We're talking about pitbulling. What is the term when that happens at work? Because that's happened to me too many times with regard to the work environment in terms of weaponizing other employees or the actual authority structure over you, and in that case.
I call it. Paul Elam had a term called damseling. I don't know if it's exactly applicable, but it's called damseling. That's you present yourself as a victim. So he can't. We use that term a lot of Voice for Men. So
you're saying in the work environment, right?
Yeah, in the work environment, he did this or he blah 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 blah. Yeah, you can be the work or the non-work environment, but it's damseling yourself, turning yourself into a victim that's helpless, and this masher trying to ruin me. And yeah,
listen, look at this. Kevin said HR leashing.
Yeah, I've experienced that before. Absolutely. But that would be.
I've experienced that. Yeah, I remember the first time that happened to me in 1999. It really changed the outlook of how especially as a Black man, it was a white chick. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that happened to me last week.
I'm going to try and go in order in respect to when guys came up. So I think we have, is it SOV? SOV, can you hear me?
Thank you for letting me speak.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. All right, Ty.
Hey, how you gentlemen doing today?
Doing well, man. Go ahead and contribute to this. And I'm gonna start asking people, when you share your story, go ahead and go down, because we got people that seem to be lining up in here more than I expected. So go ahead, SOV. Tell us what you wanted to contribute.
So this is kind of parallel or adjacent. This isn't exactly blue leashing or pit bullying, but this is something that is very important, and it's very prevalent where I live in the United States, which is Virginia. While it's not related to the police necessarily, but it's related to this. A recent incident just happened with Meg Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson. You all pretty much know about this, I'm sure, the drama. But Black women's response to what happened is to perform witchcraft on this guy. And the point I want to make you all be aware of is that a lot of Black women, the ones you're in relationships with, your mothers, your sisters, even your nieces or your daughters, are constantly and consistently performing witchcraft on you guys without you guys even knowing it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and this is very real. You know, I know a lot of guys probably don't believe in that kind of stuff, but you know,
did you want to share a story, or were you just kind of warning brothers in general?
Well, because I see it all the time happening. Just because, like, for instance, in this last election with President Trump, let's say there are Facebook groups full of women who share pictures of black men they may know and perform witchcraft on those guys collectively. You know, stuff like that. Like, there's stuff like that out here, especially where I live. You know.
Okay.
I just want you guys to be aware of that kind of stuff because it's sort of like blue leashing in a way. Like, they kind of in your face, they kind of act one way, but in private, they kind of act another. You know what I mean?
No, I understand.
So I understand. So I want you guys to be. It's huge. Like, you offend, like, especially in work, this whole thing about them being witches and stuff. It's huge, man.
Well, I put it this way. I put it this way because I know, you know, there's a lot of debate about whether or not, you know, the supernatural exists. Some people believe in God, some people don't. The way I think about certain things like witchcraft is, you know, the same woman that's practicing that, who might even be poisoning your food. You don't have to believe in the supernatural to know that she can poison your food. To me, it's witchcraft either way. You know, somebody who tries to get you fired because they're jealous of how you're doing and they resent the fact that you're a man doing well. I don't have a problem with framing that as witchcraft. It doesn't. So my point is, you know, whether you believe in the supernatural or not, there are still people that want to do you wrong and want to hurt you for reasons that often have nothing to do with you. So I believe in telling brothers to be on their guard, because you have no idea. Some people, I mean, some of us have actually run into people and found out that they meant ill for you and you didn't even know why. And if you can find that out, imagine how often that happens, especially to black men who are already hated, even within the community, for stereotypes that have been going on since before any of us were born. So I have no problem with y'all warning each other, putting each other on guard. I appreciate that. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that, SOV, before I let AB come into this?
I mean, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. It's just I need you guys to be really aware. And you know, when you meet these people in real life, they kind of come off like they're innocent and sweet, but that's just not the case.
Of course.
I mean, I've seen conversations where it's just so crazy in the spiritual community. You know, in the spiritual community where I'm a part of, it's crazy, like how these women are just hexing the hell out of God. I'm talking about doing the craziest stuff. I know guys for the most part probably don't, you know. I just wish more guys would just be aware of it from the spiritual aspect. They're trying to do you in from the spiritual, on the spiritual side.
Some are, some don't look at it that way, but I would say stand on your guard from any direction possible, you know, based on what it is you believe. Just be aware, because there's a lot of folks that want to do brothers in. Most particularly, the better you're doing in life, you'll find yourself attracting people that want the worst for you, and you don't have to do anything to cause it. You know what I mean? So thanks, SOV. I appreciate you dropping that word, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, AB, man, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, man. What's going on?
You mentioned witches, right? The black church is full of them.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm saying that because, well, quite frankly, I speak from experience.
Okay.
I'm not in the church for a reason. And as far as you know, pitbulling and what you call blue leashing, that's why I'm not talking to some of my family members right now.
Oh, okay.
I have an aunt who thinks she can talk to me any old kind of way. And right now it's at the point, I'm just going to be honest. I don't want to have to fight an 80-year-old man, her husband.
Oh, okay.
Or my uncle, who's 60.
Right.
I don't want to be put in that position. So I do my best not to call her, not to contact her. And you know, I just leave it. I just try to stay away from it, leave it alone. My uncle asked me to call her. I won't call her because I'm just not going to be talking on the road. I'm not going to be talking any kind of way anymore.
Hold on. Try to cover your mics. Let me mute them. I'm going to mute everybody except the person speaking. But okay. I hear you.
Yeah. Blue leashing can happen anywhere, even in your own family.
Right. Absolutely. And most particularly, you see it in families. Whether it's mothers, or aunties, or wives and girlfriends, you see it in intimate family settings in that respect. So yeah, was there anything? Was there something you wanted to share about any particular story about any of those?
Well, you guys pretty much covered everything, and I'm glad you guys pointed out. You're really never going to solve the violence in the hood until you address what the women are doing.
Yeah, it's the missing piece of the puzzle. Yeah,
that is the missing piece of the puzzle. It took a while for me to figure it out, but a few years ago I figured out that's until you address what the women's part in this, you're never gonna solve what's really going on in the hood.
Absolutely. When do you got a show coming up next, AB? You want to tell folks?
Maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to have anything today, but possibly tomorrow.
All right.
I haven't decided yet. I'm thinking about. I may or may not do something on the infamous Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion crap. But,
Okay.
These chicks are wilding out. Talking about. I kid you not, Dr. T. I'm seeing twos talking about Klay Thompson can't do any better.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I hope I can see you when we cover the film Him in a couple days on Patreon.
Okay.
But you're welcome to stay up if you want. Let me get over here to my boy. What's up, Dr. Lumumba? What's going on, man?
What's going on, brother? Peace to you, brother.
Peace to you as well, man. You want to drop something on this topic? What's up?
Absolutely. I appreciate you allowing me to join your show this evening. I just finished a show of mine, so I said let me slide on over and be part of the conversation. So I can actually speak to a number of incidents regarding blue leashing and pit bullying, but I'm gonna focus on pit bullying here. So I had a situation. This was in my second year of my PhD program at the Ohio State University. And I took a cross-listed class between Black Studies and the law school. And the class was titled Black Lives Matter. So I ended up having a conversation offline, a colloquy offline with a young lady, a sister, who ended up revealing that she was engaged to a white guy. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Ain't got nothing to do with me. I really don't care. And during the conversation, we spoke several times over the semester. She told me how there was a brother who she believed raped her. So I'm like, oh my. She then tells me that she tells me the story of how she was talking to her brother. They're basically getting to know each other. And he kept pushing, hey, we need to be intimate. We need to be intimate. We need to be intimate. And so she tells me that it was trash. And that because it was trash, that constituted rape. That's what she tells me. So I said, well, that's not the case. But she says, well, I really don't like dude because after we did it, he never spoke to me anymore. So it's a situation where he got the cookies and he bounced, right? And she says, well, could you just go up to him one day if I showed you who he was and just hit him upside the head or something? So I said, hold up. I said, one, why don't you have your white boyfriend or fiance handle this situation for you? I said, number two, I said, what if the guy doesn't want to be hit? Or what if I do it? I said, what if we pull out a gun? Or what if I hit him and he falls down and hits his head on the concrete? And I'm charged with involuntary manslaughter. Said, are you gonna post my bond? Exactly. If I can't get out of jail, you gonna get me a lawyer? Are you gonna show up on visiting day and show me your breast? I said, these are real questions I need to ask.
Nope.
I said, what type of peanut butter and jelly shit is this? You think I'm gonna fall for this? I said, I wouldn't even do this if you were my woman.
Yeah. The fact that she tried to get you to suggest that that's something she saw as possible.
Yes. This is a black brother. He's pro-black. He's a Pan-Africanist. He's he's out. I'm like, come on now. I don't fall for the okie doke.
And this happens especially with men who are either big or physically fit. People will try to get you to pit bull. They'll try to get you to hurt other people on their behalf.
Yes.
Over some bull.
And then I get shot.
You see what I mean?
That's the reality of the situation. So, I always tell brothers, if you're in a situation, you need to ask questions, and you have family members. And I told her sister, I said, well, my name isn't Bruce Wayne. I told her that. I said, my job is not to go out here and be a vigilante. I'm not the Cape Crusader. I'm not jumping from rooftops. That's not what I do. I said, because when I go to court, and that will happen, they're going to say there are people in society who are paid to deal with these type of issues.
Exactly.
But you chose what? To take it upon yourself to be a vigilante. So
the word you all are looking for was called proxy violence. That's what they try to unleash.
Yes. Yes. Proxy violence. So, and if I could, I had another situation regarding blue leashing. Situation. This is what my XX. I'm about to leave the city. With 21 questions. Facts. I really did though, right? Shout out to 50 Cent, right? I'm about to move out of town to go to graduate school. Lady that I was formerly dating is upset about it. Instead of sitting down and having a conversation with me about what possibly a long distance relationship would look like, she calls the police on me and makes a false accusation. And we're at a park, right? And so the police show up and they're like, well, sir, I'm about to ask you to put your hands behind your back and we're going to have to, put you in custody based on the accusations this woman is making. And there was an older Black woman in her car in the parking lot who recorded the entire thing on her cellular phone. And she came out, showed the police officer what actually happened. And then they came to me and said, sir, based on what we saw, you're the one who should be pressing charges. Do you want to press charges against her? And I said, no. But they didn't charge her with filing a false police report.
Wow.
Yes. And so it got to the point where I took a position, and this, this may sound a bit misogynistic, but I don't believe a woman regarding anything. If she tells me it's snowing outside, I'm going outside in a white beater and flip-flops. That's just my lived experience that's causing me to have that type of disposition.
This is, man, let me say this about pit bullying real quick. That pit bullying is an abuse of a concept. It's an abuse of traditionalism. It's what I also refer to as selective traditionalism. In other words, the idea really came from husbands who were protecting their wives and their family from undue violence, right? What you have happening is everyday women now want to operationalize that idea in such manner that any man around them ideally will operate on her behalf at her whim. It's not just something that should happen. It just should happen when she calls for it. It's a power flex that a lot of women have taken from the idea of a traditional family setting and tried to expand on men as a whole to get this. And the first time I really pondered this, I was at a conference, I want to say in Florida years ago. It was over a decade ago. And I went and I was on this bus, heading to the conference from the hotel. And this woman who was in the hotel, I saw her in the hotel. I knew we were in the same hotel together. It was a white woman. Didn't know her, never spoke to her before. We saw each other a couple of times, may have been in the elevator once with one another while there. She gets on the bus. And at the time, there was a homeless man that got on the bus, but he was, he was a little out of it. You could tell he wasn't really present. And he actually started moving toward her. He started talking to himself, but he was moving in a threatening kind of manner. And he was directing it at her. Now, the first thing she did, she didn't go to the bus driver. She didn't call the police. She turned and looked at me. Now, there was never a word spoken. She just looked at me, right? So 5'2" white woman, very thin, looks over at me, 6'2", 300. And she's looking at me to do something. Now, I'm not saying that's bad or good. What you do in that situation is up to you. What I observed in that moment, though, was the expectation. Because if somebody's threatening to me, I'm not turning to look at anybody sitting next to me to operate on my behalf. I'm either going to handle it myself or I'm going to call the police or the authority on something on that level. So I noticed this was something that women were more apt to do than I've ever seen men do. I've rarely been in a situation where a man is being accosted, messed with, and he turns around to look for perfect strangers to come operate on his behalf. I haven't seen a lot of that. Y'all let me know if you have. Right. So that being said, I just kind of observed this is something that women are more keyed into. But to see that idea taken from, now she was under duress and she looked at me. But what I saw after that were women who were weaponizing this idea. I reported on this years ago. It was a woman at a donut station. I want to say I can't remember if it was Philly or New York. I reported on it in my show. She was at a donut shop and she got mad at the person working there, I believe it was, and she called her boyfriend to come from home with the gun and shoot up the place over an altercation that wasn't violent in the first place because she was mad about something. And so between the two experiences, I noticed the kind of weaponization of this and the expectation that Black men be ready to lose their lives and their freedom at any moment in time because she's in a mood about something. And you could see her flexing about it when she was talking to the staff there. I'm going to get my man and I'm going to do this. And that immediately took me back to elementary school. I don't know how many of y'all had them experiences where girls would talk about, I'm going to get my brother, I'm going to get my whatever. Now, it's one thing if somebody messed with them and they genuinely needed protection. But often I began to see it from girls that just like the flex. They just like the idea that they could get you hurt at her whim. And somehow that became powerful. You know, that made her powerful by proxy, right? I can get my brother, I can get whomever.
But Dr. T, it's two-pronged in there. All right. Not only is she using it for that purpose, she also starts it out as a Klingon mating ritual. You remember that you and BJS talked about the Klingon mating ritual. So listen to where I'm finna go. She tries to intimidate that boy. I'm gonna sick so-and-so and so-and-so on you because she can't physically get at this boy that she wants to open her mouth and say, hey, I like you. She's gonna try to punch him or harass him. I've seen it too many times in school, like you said. And it goes from that to I'm gonna get such and such and such and such to kick your ass. So I can physically. This happened in the wood. They had the movie The Wood. Remember that boy? That boy got whooped. Yeah. Over that girl. And then he said, only thing he told him, he said, I think your sister's purty. But it was the way he said purty that had everybody cracking up because he had that country accent draw from Carolina. Okay. And when he said that, her brother just went to wailing on because I don't know why he felt offended. He should have took pride that, hey, somebody like my sister.
The incident started because I think he had a dare and he slapped her in the butt or something. It was child stuff. But you're right. But and so in that, it could either be she's flexing, it could also be she's attracted. There are a number of reasons, but either way, the fact that she can at a whim have somebody attack somebody, and with no regard as to what that does to the man who's being sent to do it, or the fact that both men could lose their lives behind a trivial situation, the fact that none of that is taken into consideration.
That all starts from a Klingon mating ritual. See, you have to realize we have 60 and 70-year-old women all the way down to the 30s and 20s who rationalize everything with a 4-letter word that I call a cuss word. It's a normal word, but I highly suggest that every Black man in the Black manosphere and every man in the manosphere, we don't allow them to use this word. When they start a conversation with, I feel that see, that's a cuss word, feel. No, we cannot talk. Why can't we talk? You're trying to feel your way through these conversations. I'm not going to allow you.
Hold on, AL. I'm going to come to you, man. The only person in front of you is AH. I'm going to let him go first, and I'm going to come to you, AL, and let you get into it. But I completely agree with you. I'm amazed at how many people go with I feel, which seems to give them license to talk about or do whatever they want to do with no accountability. So, Dr. Lumumba, was there any last thing you wanted to say before we transition to AH?
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate you allowing me to tap back in. So I'll do very quickly, we talk about this concept of pitbulling. I'm the baby in my family, and my parents' favorite, by the way, but I'm the baby. And there was a practice amongst my parents and particularly my older siblings that eradicated the concept of pitbulling. So Dr. Johnson knows I talk a lot of trash. That's just part of my personality. So growing up, we would always go to the park up the street around the corner from my home. 3-minute walk. And we bent the corner outside of the line side of our parents' eyesight. And my sister grabs him by the arm. I'm probably 7 or 8. She's probably 14, 15. And says, when we get up here, shut the F up. Shut the F up. But I'm like, what? She's like, because I know you're going to start talking trash, and then I'm going to have to fight. That's what she told me. Older brother, my sister goes to college. My brother's in high school. I'm in middle school, elementary. Same thing. When we get over here, shut up. And so I was taught at an early age, hey, if you're not gonna fight the battle, you keep your mouth shut. You don't write a check that your behind isn't going to cash.
There you go.
Right? I was taught that growing up. Like I used to always do the, poke my brother and sister. They hit me back. They being mean to me. When my parents were alive, I was the instigator. Guess what happened? You on your own. And guess what? Yeah. I began to mind my business. But what we tend to find is, even as Dr. Johnson was saying, these gynocentric households, the women will know that the young lady is the one who is promoting these type of these interactions and altercations. They still would tell the young man, you better not put your hands on her. So it normalizes, as Kevin Samuels would say, this one-way violence.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can be verbal, it can be emotional, but oftentimes it's physical.
Yep.
And if you don't push back, if you don't physically defend yourself, you're all types of punks and you're soft and X, Y, Z, you're everything for the child of God, right? Because there's a push to try to get you to do what? Put your hands on them so then they can then weaponize being a victim.
Absolutely. Let me see. I'm going to move to AH, but let me just quickly say I learned that lesson because I'm the big brother in my family. And what that meant for me was that if my sister, she never abused it, but if she had abused it, I'm the one on the line. And when I get called into the situation and I roll up there and it's a dude with 3 of his friends and it's just me by myself, I learned very quickly that I'm going to have to be real careful about how this shit happens when I'm the one that gets called in. So anyway, I fully hear what you're saying. AH, man, give us your thoughts about this. What do you want to drop in on this?
Hey, Doc, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm particularly going to talk about the blue leashing. Seeing it on both sides with the pitbulling and blue leashing. Particularly, I was a police officer in Baltimore in the mid-90s. For about 10 years before I went federal doing some stuff. So, hey, trust me, I worked in one of the hardcore places. They make all those series about. I just put it that way. So the thing, like I talk to some of my old buddies all the time, retired black police officers and people like that. And we always talk about it. The main thing, it gets on our nerves about what are they teaching these guys? Nobody's talking to them. The brothers must not be talking to each other, because I don't know too much about what they're doing now. But I know when I was working then, I don't care what anybody says, there's always a line with the whole racial thing, whether people want to agree, admit it or not, no matter whether you're in the government, military, police, whatever. So a lot of times the brothers, we're with each other, working with each other, partnering up, talking things out, talking about, life issues, as well as all the stuff you got to do enforcing it. So when you get around to this blue leash shit, I can't tell you the number of times you're going to go to a house, you got the new boyfriend, the baby daddy stopping by, or I don't want to deal with him no more, sicking either the police or the new boyfriend on the baby daddy or the new lover or the ex-lover, whatever the case may be. Right. So I know as police, what we used to call it sickle. They didn't have the terminology. Like you said, there was no terminology out there to specify this stuff. So what we would just say, it was one of those sickle cases. And sickle, when we make was, she did sick the new guy on the old guy because she don't want to deal with him no more. And a lot of times it's just that trivial. They just don't want to be bothered. You know how it is as men. You might think it, I'm gonna slide through, whatever the case may be. You don't judge. Guy come in here, he might not know. A lot of times, we take it for granted that people are telling these guys what's going on. Females ain't telling these guys, and not from back then, not now. Now it's even worse. And the guys are showing up. Next thing they know, they might get beat down. They got a gun in their face. Whatever the case may be. Baltimore was rough. Nobody saying Baltimore is grimy. Okay, you got to get down. So when we would show up, being brothers, being black police officers, As soon as you show up, you already know what's going on. So we tried to, on both sides. One, you didn't want to make. I had an old sociologist tell me when I went to the police academy, and this is before, like, I went and got a master's, got a PhD. But back then, when I went to police academy, an old sociologist, black guy, he told me, said, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to make a criminal. You don't need to be making no criminals. So all this unnecessary stuff, people are letting these cops off because they're not trained good in their mind about these scenarios, and they're not, the culture is what it is. So if you're not familiar with it, you're just gonna go in there and you're trying to do stuff, and you don't know how to finagle stuff. You don't know how to read the situation quickly and see what's going on. Like I said, when we show up as the brothers, we already know what's going on. So to try to prevent the brothers from going to jail, we're like, look, she gonna go and you're gonna go, because there is such a law as you inciting somebody to do some stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not gonna go in all the legal stuff, this and that, but even if you got to lie, sometimes you gotta lie. Okay, to smooth out a situation. I'm gonna just say that. I'm not gonna say, oh, Grand got the truth, everything else. You know what I'm talking about. Just to tell them, like, look, we're not gonna let you get this guy jammed up because he's being stupid. He's not realizing he's using him. This one being stupid because he don't realize, okay, you set yourself up by coming mess around with this shady female, whether you knew she was shady or not. Now the guy got kids. I work late night, so a lot of times it was like, okay to see my kids. Like, bro, it's 12 midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. You talking about you come to see your kids? Well, if they are up, both of y'all wrong. So it's like, come on, man. Like I said, it just understanding what's going on. And a lot of times the police, again, I take it back to the training, but a lot of it is not just the training, but on who you have putting in those areas, policing those areas. Because a lot of brothers wind up going to jail behind that blue leashing crap, because you got somebody who come in there, especially a lot of young officers, if they don't look like us, no matter where they come from, and they just going along with whatever they have to do. They're a human being like everybody else. So they're doing the job. When they get there, they just want to hurry up and get done what they're going to get done. Another black man going to jail, they don't care. Another black man getting jammed up, they don't care. As brothers, you go there, you know what's going on. You're like, look, it ain't going down like this, okay? You messed up. Everybody needs to, you want to press the issue? Fine, everybody can go to jail. Remember that training day, you want to go to jail, you want to go home. Most people want to go home, okay? At the end of the day, most people want to go home. But when you don't have people on that other side, when it comes to stuff like that blue leashing, that's what gets a lot of times people jammed up, because it's not the other person's job to care. We say that they should, in an altruistic world where everything is run perfectly and the right systems, everything's going to flow that way. But when you have these people on the other side they're untrained, they don't know the culture, they really don't know the community, they don't understand what's going on. And stuff like this is something you sit down when you're dealing with the police and you talk about it. Not just as a men's issue, but as a community issue. Because, again, these females, you're never going to get them into a space unless you get them on film, on camera, making a statement where, you got them like, that they're doing something wrong. Because they're always going to cry deniability. I didn't know, or I didn't know this was going on. But come on, everybody,
Well, that's that's one of the reasons I'm a strong advocate of men recording, because you know what I mean? By the time the police show up, the one thing that may keep you out of jail is the fact that you got the whole thing on camera, just like Dr. Lumumba's situation. Who knows what would have happened to him had that old lady not recorded the incident?
Especially, and I can tell you, as a police officer, on the other side with pitbulling, I done been there, where people call you. Now, Dr. T, you brought it up earlier, where you said people having, you remember the women and the families and the communities, you would hear bits and pieces of the conversation they were having about, oh, don't tell Johnny, because Johnny, if you tell Johnny, it's going to be over for him. You know, if it's something that, you know, they could brush off, God forbid they have to, you know, it's something very traumatic that they got to eat and hold that in for, you know, till they die or whatever. But, you know, if it's a slight, if it's something, you know, maybe somebody took something, maybe somebody, you know, they pushed them, did something, whatever. Okay, they got in a real bad spew and you got an argument with the guy at the store, but it wasn't this bad. So you're not going to go back and tell your brother because you know your brother, once he hear that, he might be the type that's a hothead. He's just going to run down there. And the women would talk about that. Their family would talk about it. Now, I remember when having conversations with my wife and daughters, and it's just like, you know, Dad, okay? From all the crazy military stuff and other stuff, yeah, we got a tendency, we can flip the switch if need to be, but don't get me involved in some craziness because you know where it's going to go, the potential where it can go. So we don't have time for that. Plus, you don't have time. We don't have the resources to get brothers out of jail when, okay, maybe it is a mistake. Yeah. You know, we think we can operate like the other groups operate. And I'm gonna tell you,
what you're suggesting is that we need to make sure that these women who we're willing to protect are good stewards of our energy. And that in and of itself is, you have to have that conversation, especially you girl dads, y'all got daughters, you know, you got to have these conversations, big brothers with little sisters. You know, it's difficult for a son to have, you know, a 13-year-old boy to have that with his mother. But if you're dealing with a daughter, you're dealing with a little sister, you got to have that conversation. You got to teach them how to be good stewards of that. Because no matter how red pill some of us are, we're always going to protect certain family members, daughters, you know, wives. It is what it is. Now, I'm one to question women in general just using men as attack dogs across the board. But we all know when it comes to, you know, the women in our charge, in our households, the ones we're going to provide that, and it just needs to be treated fairly. So you got 1 other minute, then we got to get AL up here. But anything else you want to add to that?
Well, when you talked about the scenario where the lady looked at you when she was feeling threatened, I've had that happen to me from a senior standpoint. It's a senior as an old guy. And I happened to be standing in the store. I didn't have no uniform on. I was just, you know, younger days. You buck looking and you got your gear on. You look in a certain way, you clean. And he's asking me, could I walk into his car? And at first, you know, I was like, he's talking about, he's like, you know, and it was dark. It was late. It was a restaurant. Everybody was leaving. And there was an old guy. He was just like, oh, you know, I'm sorry. You know, I thought you worked here. You just were in the security because I know they had problems here. He said, I just, you know, I don't want to walk to a car by myself because I don't want to get a concert. You know, it was an old white dude. I was like, okay, man, fine. I'll make sure you get to your car. And, you know, I was looking, but I remember it flashed me back to being a young man and my father kind of instilled in me, like, look, if somebody's asking for help and they really need some help, you need to go ahead and do it. Because I remember there was a girl that asked me that I was like 16, 17, and she needed to get home and had to walk her. She was like maybe 12, 13 years old, coming from the junior high school or something, and they had to get home. And we lived in the junior high school was behind our house. So I was out working in the yard, and she was like, oh, I got to get to the house and this and that. So I had to walk to the house and like, I asked my dad about it. I was like, you know, what's up with that? He's like, look, if somebody asks you some help like that, you need to go ahead because you don't know what's going on, you know, and if it's genuine. So, you know, don't be quick to get that. But for a lot of us as black men, we've always been having to take on those roles, whether we see it that way or not. People in general, well, they look at us as a boogeyman on one side, they look at us as protectors on the other side. Mm-hmm. You know, and you could do a whole series about that, Dr. T. I think I sent you an email one time about that, about if you look at the history of how this nation is even what it is, wasn't for that black manpower and all those wars, you could forget it. Yeah. Okay, so we seen as, you know, like that German Shepherd is in the yard. We love you and hate you at the same time.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Absolutely. Thank you for dropping that in. Hopefully I'll see more of you in the future as we continue to do these lives. Let me go ahead and get AL in here. AL, what's good with you?
How you doing, Dr. T?
Good,
I know you
man.
can hear me.
How you been? Yeah.
Long time no hear from, man. I've been in the realm of Rasputin, but I'm the word of my demise has been greatly exaggerated. I'm here in the flesh.
Okay. So what did you want to drop in on this blue leashing or pit bullying issue?
I'm finna hit you boys with the last angle that y'all already hid from and obfuscated. I'm gonna bring it all the way home from the mother pit bullying the son, which is the story of me and my egg donor. All right. My egg donor, she's about 5'3". I'm gonna describe this individual so you can get a good description of the story. She's about 5'3", 330 pounds at the time. Okay. Not a pleasant looking woman physically. From the neck up, she's a 10 in the face. She's a 10 in the face, but from the neck down, she's a 1.
Damn.
I call the balls and strikes straight up. I don't care. Okay. But here goes. I was about 16. I was 15. I was a freshman in high school, and I had to transition from staying with my grandfather because he was going through PTSD. He was literally on his way out, but he would have terrible outbursts, and he let it out on me. So I decided, I said, hey, I'm gonna go stay with my mom because it's a little closer to my high school. I'm gonna go stay with her for a month and let you breathe. Let you just breathe, because you taking this parenting to a whole nother level. You don't realize it when you're doing it, but after the fact you do. So I went to my mom's, my egg donor. Okay. She still had my old room ready, but had stuff in there when I didn't care. I just needed a place to lay my head until I went to school. She had gotten back with a long time boyfriend. This boyfriend, least to say, he was a crackhead at the time. And I would always tell my mother, birds of a feather flock together.
Okay.
And she didn't like that. She didn't like what I would say that. And I would always say that when he was there, to let her know I knew what he was doing. Because the streets will let me know, my eyes let me know from what I saw when he was in the streets. And, just the neighborhood talks. But that's neither here nor there. But he came back around this time trying to preach that, I'm in church and we go do this the religious way. We pray in this house morning, noon, and night, and we start praying at 2 a.m. Negro, I am asleep at 2 a.m. I'm not getting up for you, your religion, or what you saying and what you are, because I don't deal with you. You and me have already had it out, and apparently we finna have it out again. So he tried waking me up at 2. I didn't wake up. He went in there, reveling. He's not getting up. He's not doing what, I got your girls and you doing and whatnot. And she was trying to tell him, leave it alone. So he comes back in there at 5 on this prayer stuff. I'm like, man, you need to get out of this room before you get messed up. So about 6 in the morning, he come waking me up when they up, and he had all the girls sitting in the living room so he could have his little whatever, and had my mom in there, my egg donor, mind you, and he started saying, something ain't right with this boy. You need to tell him he need to do X, Y, Z. And before I knew it, my mom didn't really realize at the time, because she never went to like one of my football games, just one. So she didn't know that her son had been lifting weights, playing football, and I was squatting about 700 and squatting about 400 and leg pressing about 700, and I was benching about 200. So by the time he need to do this and do that, and he's pointing his finger, I just politely decided to beat his ass in front of my mama and let him know that I'm not the one to be played with when it comes to him talking shit to me. So I beat him down, And all the while he's screaming, "Get him off me, get him off me." I said, "I thought you played football." And I listen, "You big and bad now, but see, you don't realize you're old. You in your late 30s. I'm in my teens, and I'm on your ass. And you're not realizing he's not that little boy I used to whoop up and down in that room." So I gave it to him. So she decides she's gonna call the police, and these were normal cops that run the beat in this neighborhood. She called two girlfriends who happened to be white that she knew were cops, Cagney and Lacey types, dyking, and she told them to come over to the house and handle me. So they decided they was gonna handle me. These are police women, mind, early 90s. And they decided to steal, they were using real billy clubs back then. They decided to pull out them two nightsticks and go to war. I didn't fold. I sat there, and while my mama was outside watching, looking up the hill, I'm on top of the hill, the sidewalk, while two Cagney and Lacey bitches are literally swinging on my legs and my thighs, and they could not get me down. And I'm just laughing at them. I'm like, "You two lesbian dykes, y'all can't do the job of one man. Y'all can't get a 15-year-old boy down to the ground. I'm just standing vertical." And they started to work their way up, and that's when she started hollering, "No, don't hit him up at the top, don't hit him up at the top." And they left me alone. They wailed on me for about good 30 minutes. And I just turned and looked at my egg donor. I gave her a death stare, and I had my backpack on my shoulder when all this was taking place, and she thought I was gonna swing at them. I wasn't gonna swing at them. I already knew, because if they got the calling laws for more backup, I was a dead man walking. So I just let them do what they did, and it didn't affect me. And I went and got on the bus. Now, when I got to school, and I went in that field house locker room, and I dropped my pants down to see the damage. Oh, they did damage to my thighs.
Yeah,
it reminded me, Dr. T, those old 50 beatings those old laws was giving them boys in Alabama, with them nice sticks. And I mean, my whole thigh. I mean, now I done been disciplined and whooped before by my grandfather. My grandfather's 6'3", 285 pounds, all man. And I've had damage done to me by the best. They couldn't do nothing, but I swear, I seen them bruises on my red thighs. I was like, man, they done knocked some beauty marks off me. Yeah.
Right.
That's from the angle of a parent, a female mom sicking white people on them.
Damn.
Y'all top that.
I appreciate you sharing that, man. Let me see. I got LXST, I got Ray, and I got Officer Faulkner in the building. So we're going to go in that order. So let's start off with LXST. We're almost 2 hours in. So I'm going to ask you to just, make sure your stories are kind of to the point, because we got a timing issue as of now. And I'm going to tell y'all what I'm going to do about it as far as some of the other stuff. So LXST, can you hear me? Are you there? Hello? Okay, maybe he stepped away. So let's go to Ray. Ray, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's good with you, man?
Hey, sir. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good today. But brother, I gotta tell you, man. Sometimes I gotta brace myself. Get a cigar and get ready to. Every time when you go put out a video, about these topics, these I would say light within deep, thick darkness truths. And that's what you and some other brothers give, and sometimes I can do some push-ups and all that shit, to get ready to absorb it, all this knowledge. And a lot of people don't realize it's just, oh man, it's just so deep, and heavy upon the spirit sometimes, but it's very necessary, this awareness, this level of awareness. And I'll be real quick, man, to say this though, brother. One example I have for me is on a job before, I would say within the past 5 years. And it was at this warehouse, this this plant. And we had like, team leads and stuff like that or whatever, what I mean? And then there's the night shift manager who is like the head honcho or whatever, who can send you home type of shit. And so there was a day where I was talking to this one gentleman, as I was working with him, and me and him both were slugging, we're working, we're working in good coordination. And we have like a decent dialogue, about something, and I was expressing to him about my annoyance about the thing which we was talking about. And so in this team lead, right, who was the lead over that particular squad, it was an older white woman. And at first, when she started working there, she was cool and everything. But on this particular day, she was annoyed because of a young black girl that we was working with. She was working with us, with our team, and she was just being just so deranged and non-cooperative, like we know typically, with black women. Okay, and so in the midst of that, her being upset, about this white lady, she ends up overhearing us, me and this gentleman, our chatter, because we were just focusing on our work and boom, and because we was able to work and talk at the same time. And she overhears us, and she's like, what do you say? Like, and I'm like, what do you mean, ma'am? No, what do you mean? No, I'm not talking to you, ma'am. I'm talking to this gentleman. Like you okay? And then a little while later, the head honcho, the supervisor came through, a black dude, right? He comes through talking, breathing fire. Oh, you guys go home. You guys go home. Then just sent us home. And then the company that hired me to work there at that plant, which is like a staffing agency, they basically was working in tandem with them and just said, hey, well, you did this, so so you got to go type of thing. I'm like, what do you mean did what? Basically, you was in a restroom for, like 2 or 3 hours. I'm like,
what?
Bullshit. So basically, y'all know that was bullshit, right? To let us go during like mid shift. And this is like a graveyard shift. So therefore, you came with a cover up, something that, that's kind of like, it happens on a every so often kind of basis with these kind of companies, where people be working like long drawn out shifts, 10-hour these, and I was working a 12-hour shift too. And there's guys or people, men and women, who will be in the restroom for long periods of time, like on their phone type of thing. And I'm like, trying to tell them, no, you're lying, because I don't believe in that. I don't like smelling other people's feces like that, for that damn long. So I like to do my business to get in there and get out type of thing. So yeah, no. And when I'm on my phone on a job and the phone's allowed, I'm listening to my podcast, which would be like you brothers or Joe Rogan or whatever. Boom, I got one earbud in and I'm just moving, getting business taken care of. So I'm like, yeah, so that's some bullshit. And I'm like, yeah, and that's an example too of the pit bulling. So basically the white woman went and grabbed this black dude. So, the head supervisor, and, got us all like sent home, and me and the other brother wasn't able to come back. But for me, the excuse they use for me to not to be able to come back is the restroom thing, because they know that's a kind of like somewhat of a common thing for them as it seems. But I'm like, man, with the people who I rock with on jobs, and me myself, we don't operate like that. No, we take care of business. And it's shit like that will cause black men to like damn crash out. I mean, just rage out, and get the plot and everything. So it's like you cannot blame or try to direct the certain outcomes. When you dive into dealing with not diving, but when you have those kind of mentality traits, to act like that on these jobs, so I'm like, wow. So there was no talking from you. So, head supervisor, like there was no, you just went off of this white woman's word and just released this, boom, messed up our financial, situations, because these kind of situations causes black men to not progress. And then you have people outside looking in want to say, Oh, well, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, or you and it's like, come on, how can I pull myself up by my bootstraps if crazy situations, deranged situations like these keep happening, where my straps are just being taken from me? So how the F can I pull them up? And in the whole witchcraft situation too, I mean, it's like, I'm all for, like, to the stake kind of thing with that, so I will leave that there. Because it's beyond diabolical. And so, and you're right, and this kind of thing needs to continue to be talked about. So to let brothers know, hey, to be aware of these things. And I even mentioned it on my channel before about, okay, certain ornaments too they wear, to identify that, because some of them like to try to be in hiding to some degree. Some are bold with it. And there's a video too that I put in the private for you of that I came across. It came out like some months ago, of a series of women just talking about using love magic spells, and love magic spells failing and crashing on them and stuff like that, because they fail to realize there's a price for playing with dark magic, you dummies. So and it just needs to stop. And so these Jonathan Major situations stop. And I'm like still highly pissed with black women with that, with black women and women period with that, and with Kevin Samuels. So yes, sir. And and that was it. So that's all I had to give. And thank you, brother. And I appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks for coming through. Let me see. LXST, can we finally hear you?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, Doc.
Okay, I want to make sure I get Charles in here, so go ahead and tell us what you wanted to contribute to this.
Well, I had a similar, just a salute to the chat, salute to the show. Appreciate you having the show tonight. I had a very similar incident, like Malika, but it was at a female coworker. Her husband was a police officer, and we've been having issues kind of ever since I got to the job. Black female. She's always had an issue with me for some reason. And there was this one day we kind of just finally had like a big blow up. We had a big verbal back and forth, and I just kind of stood my ground. And then finally she just came out and said like, "Hey, I'm just gonna have to call my husband." And she called her phone. She got her phone out in front of me, trying to a way of show of force to me. And I kind of felt in danger, because I knew that her husband was a police officer, and I didn't know what was going to happen behind all that situation. So I got in contact with Charles. Shout out to Charles Walker Jr. He helped me write out an HR report against her, and ever since the situation, there's been zero contact between us in the workplace, and I've been pretty much safe for the most part.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Man. Good. I appreciate you sharing that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, be safe on them workplaces, bro. And that's why I asked that question about the workplace, because typically, based on where we're at now socially, a lot of black men are not as social in the regular scheme of life with black women, but we see them a lot in the workplace, more than ever. And they're like, okay, if I can't get this nigga in a social setting, I'm gonna wait till I get this nigga at work. You know what I'm saying? And I have so many myself experiences about particularly black females weaponizing the authority figures at the job against me. I remember one time a couple years ago, I worked at a warehouse. So I was on the truck, unloading the truck, right? And so everybody, so what happens is they would choose someone to be on the truck. The truck driver would drive up, and so I would be on the truck unloading it and putting the stuff, taking the lift down and up, taking the stuff off, and other people, they would take. So this one chick, she got mad at me because I guess she felt that I was bypassing her in terms of not handing her the items so she could take them where they needed to go. So some of the things I just dropped off to the side because it was just easier, and it was faster. But a lot of these women and their egos, and they want to move up and at the workplace. So she wanted to be active and want to be seen as being a good worker. So she went to the manager and told the manager. I forgot exactly what he told her, but she told her something. I mean, she told him something, and he was like, "What you mean? I was standing right there. That's not true." So this is the level that they'll go. She blatantly lied, and somehow she didn't care about the fact that manager was standing right there when the whole thing was happening. And so, but the crazy thing is, I still got pulled into the office to discuss.
Right.
Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
with me,
can I ask Brother
my
Dr. Johnson real
white
quick?
male manager, he pulled me and said, "Hey, maybe we can just have a sit down and just talk this out." And even when I was like, "No, what is there to talk about?" Like, this woman, I had to explain to him, like, this, I don't know where you come from, but this is considered a threat on my life. And he was like, "No, like, I know her." And like, even when he said, like, "Okay, I'll have a sit down with her," and he pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, I had to sit down with her. Everything's gonna be okay." And I said, "Okay, I'm still filing that paperwork.
Right.
I'm still sending that email so I can have a paper trail."
That's right.
You see that? They don't even when they know that they're guilty, they still won't see them as guilty. That's the crazy part. Let me say this last thing too. There was another job where I was working at this real estate development company, and I damn near got fired before I even worked my first day because there was a receptionist when I went to go, because I had already got hired, right? I already did the interview, but I had to go to the corporate office to fill out my paperwork or whatever. So she was a receptionist, this black lady, and she was playing a lot of games with me. And so instead of just getting on the phone and calling the guy that I was there to see to fill out the paperwork, she kind of acted as if I wasn't supposed to be there, and acted as if I was making up the fact that I was there to work there. I think, because it was mostly white people there, and I think, it was like, who is this brother? Who does he think he is working at this company type of thing? So, long story short, I ended up having to have a meeting with some of the higher ups, and they said I had to go apologize to her. I had to go buy some roses and some flowers and shit, and apologize to this chick.
Oh, hell
Get the
no!
job.
Wow.
Yeah, that was crazy. And the thing what happened later, because I didn't do anything. The thing that she said, and this is what they relayed to me, was that I was being unprofessional. I was listening to music. I had my shades on. Just really stupid shit she was saying, right? Just to kind of destroy my image and make it look like me being unprofessional. So I probably did say or do something wrong to her. But sometime later, she got my boss's fired. My boss's boss got fired by her. She kept breaking the rules, bringing a dog to the office, right? And there was a lady, and this particular black man, he was head of the office, right? So she kept bringing the dog, even though he kept telling her, we can't have dog on the premises, especially because another employee was afraid of dogs. And so one day the dog went to the employee that was afraid, and she damn near had a fucking heart attack for real. And he was like, "Yo, that's it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, you gotta get rid of the dog." They end up firing him over her because her feelings were hurt that he was kind of abrupt with her about, you gotta get rid of the fucking dog.
See, this is what I'm saying, man. What protections? Like, I mean, oh my God, I know we can't. There's no protections, but damn it, like, I mean, what lawyers can we go to sue these bastards? To get some like retribution, some kind of like settlement, like from this shit. you know, and especially from what, you know, from what they do when it comes to the police. Because the police, you know what I mean, they may follow even though if you have a video recorded and, you know, and still show them, they can still follow through with that blue leashing, you know, and count it as something, to fulfill the quota of arrest for that month. And that's already been exposed too.
You know what? Here's a crazy ending to the story. And I'm relaying this, again to that brother who was like, the guy act like, oh, I know her, she wouldn't do things like that, and just taking it easy on her. So we were at a corporate retreat, sometime later, right? The CEO of the company, right? I kind of tagged behind. We had like an outdoor dinner. I kind of tagged behind or whatever, and the CEO, he just happened to tag behind too, and she was kind of drunk, right, and kind of loud or whatever, and so after all of that, he said to me, he looked at her and looked at me, he said, she's a piece of work, isn't she? Meaning they knew that she was a fucking toxic bitch and that she was trouble, but for whatever reason, they wouldn't keep her around.
You already know the reason. They're just as afraid of a lawsuit as anybody else.
Side piece.
Well,
don't put it past them. Don't put it past them.
Yeah, it could very well be.
But guess what? That's why the chickens have come home to roost. And you see what Trump did in this first year and a half. These women are in total shock. All them jobs, gone. All them jobs, gone. All them jobs, gone. And they sick. Why are they sick? They didn't think he would do something like this. No more Title 12, no more title. We go get rid of this, we're gonna get rid of it. And by the way, the Supreme Court go say abortion is illegal too. So you can't get rid of it.
Right. Well, I wanna bring Officer Faulkner into this, or Grand Regent Faulkner. I'm digging the image. Come on up in here, man. Tell us a little something about it. Drop something on this pit bullying, man.
And greetings, everybody. And may the church say woo. Chat now.
Woo, 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 woo.
What's up, fam?
What's up? Long time no see. I'm back on your show. Tag team, back again. Coming up to all my friends,
Coming from the tightrope.
I'm going to tell you, this is the funniest part. Some of the biggest people of blue leashing victims are the police.
Break that down.
Y'all didn't figure that. Y'all didn't figure that shit, did y'all? You got to understand.
Some of them know it.
All of us know it. Let's say you have an angry girlfriend or wife or angry husband, because there's a lot of females who get victimized of blue leashing too. Who are female. Even if you're the victim of domestic violence, you're suspended. So no overtime, your powers of arrest, your gun is taken. Possibly your personally armed weapons may be taken. So a lot of the times, your spouse may joke about, I'm going to call and I'm going to do this. Or in some cases, you had a guy who actually was, and he unfortunately is no longer with us because he took his own life. His wife was being, a British reference to a female dog. And this was a SWAT operative. And he would just sit down, and because his aim was so well, from 30 yards away with a handgun, he hit her right in the head. Sat down and ate food with his kids. The police surrounded his house. He came out with his hands up, went to jail, and self-deleted. You have other instances where there's always a joke that, you have police headquarters and City Hall within, a block away. You literally have child support court a block away. So it's nothing. Guess what? You literally have lawyers and they will say, well, you got to pay child support, even when you've been supporting the child the whole time. Do you know how many officers, like my boy Josh and others, Had to sit on my couch. We always call it fire practice. Have a drink, have a smoke, and bust out crying. Tough guys who fought people over guns, been in raids, been in some of the most dangerous stuff you ever seen. Literally break down in tears because the person they love is no longer that person at all. Especially when you have children, it's even more powerful. I've literally seen, and it's even worse when you're dealing, this is the reason why I'm anti-single mother. How you raise children is going to be different from how she raised children. And guess what? Those little kids can do no damn wrong in her eyes. And because of those kids bringing drama to your house, guess who gets looked at as an officer? It's nothing. How can I say it? Being a professional black man, you develop a phobia. Excuse me. Being a professional black man, you develop a phobia. Everybody wants to take from you. Nobody wants to reinvent nor reestablish with you or replenish with you. And that makes you the biggest victim because now you have to look at the world from a practicality. You have to be very pragmatic. Because when you go to places where they're like, hey, I've been in calls where they're like, hey, he had a gun. No gun there.
Mm-hmm.
I have my gun out, my service weapon, and I have to arrest that woman who made that false report to an officer. And this is the same thing I tell people that when, shout out to the master teacher BGS, the same way if a woman doesn't embarrasses me on the altar at marriage, I will treat it the same way as I would treat it once you call the police on me. It's over. There's no coming back. I'm not speaking a damn thing. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
Pack your bags, get the hell out of there, leave with your dignity. And your life. There's not amount of there's one person you should never love any less than anybody, and that's your damn self.
Mm-hmm.
And there's many a times when I first came here and I had the Great Falcon Initiative, why we need more black men in these positions, because guess what? Most of the time, the only person that has mercy on you is somebody who looks and been in your position before.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm a proponent of such. If you had more Officer Faulkners and others who are in law enforcement in this space, who are red pill and red pill adjacent, maybe even black pill, and they could see through all the lies, all the falsehoods, and they can literally protect you from either getting fired or possibly deleted. And yeah, sometimes your decision making as an officer, as a sergeant, as a lieutenant can literally be between life and death for black people.
Yeah, absolutely can. Absolutely can. All right. So we're at the 217 mark. And what I'm going to have to do at this point is shut it down. But what I am going to do, because I also mentioned reviewing the NPR interview of Mark Anthony Neal. If y'all want me to cover it, I can do so tomorrow. And so, just let me know in the chat if that's something y'all want to hear or not. I'm going to continue to do the daily video drops in the morning, but if you want me to cover that interview, just let me know. And if so, I'll come back up tomorrow and do that then. In the meantime, I want to thank all the brothers that came through, dropped in a word. I know I dropped that with no notice, so I appreciate y'all responding the way you have.
We appreciate you, brother Dr. Johnson. Amen.
Thank you. But I want us to get this out, man, because this is happening. These kinds of things are happening to everyday Black men every day. And we need to make sure that if nothing else, we're familiar with it. We can point it out. We've talked about how to protect ourselves, record video, definitely share information. You know what I mean? Be able to articulate yourself and clarify what's going on. But at the end of the day, we need to at least start there and figure out where we want to go from there. And I'm open to that discussion as well. So, yeah, so we're going to close it out here. And again, let me know in the comment section, especially for the replay gang, if y'all want me to review that NPR interview, and I'll holler at y'all soon. Again, thanks to each of you that came up.
Always a pleasure, Doc. You know, I might do a little show tonight on my platform. So if anybody wants to come over, come on over.
Yeah, peace to you, Doc. Appreciate you. You know, the Gen Z brothers, the fellow Gen Z brothers appreciate all the knowledge and everything. Literally, when the situation happened, I literally went back to one of your live streams where you and the brothers were talking about interactions in corporate America. And then I reached out to Charles, and then he helped me step by step with my report. And pretty much he made it ironclad.
What's up?
Yeah, shout out to Charles, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good looking.
Yeah, not all heroes wear capes. Well, sometimes I do.
Our brother, our savior, our champion. Once again.
That's why, last but not least, Doc trying to get out of here. That's why years ago I came out there with the statement. Hopefully it could be the new Manosphere statement. And I actually trademarked it. My brother, my champion, my savior. And that's usually
right.
That's right. For those who haven't heard it, my brother, my champion, my savior. That's usually how it's going to work out for you.
All right, y'all.
The brothers is all we got, our only allies at this point.
Man, we gotta live by that code really seriously. Our bull crap aside, man. If we walk in that light, those three things he just stated, my brother, my champion, my savior, and look at each Black man like that and hold each of us accountable, man, we'll galvanize and stuff like this. We can literally put this stuff, nip it in the bud when we see it out in the public. We can nip it in the bud without the violence and have these ladies in shock. We're not going to tolerate this and stand this from you women anymore. Anytime we see an incident going down, instead of running to ooh, look, let me get it on World Star, man, go in there and handle your business and start regulating without fear, and then you'll look up and you'll notice more and more men are stand beside you. We don't want to see this stuff go on. We don't.
Right. All right, fellas. I appreciate it. And yes, continue to be a resource for one another, or else why even bother doing this? Why are we doing all of this? We're doing it so we can improve how Black men live, and that has to start with us supporting each other. So shout out to all of you. Shout out to the example Charles left. That's what we got to do for each other, and we'll end it there. So I will holler at y'all, and y'all let me know if you want me to come back up tomorrow. All right.
Do it again tomorrow.
All right, man. Let me go ahead and
all right
close us out the way I should, and let me see here. Here we go. All right, peace out, y'all. I am here to tell you, brothers, we are not criminals by birth, perennial rapists, incapable intellects, man-children, sperm donors, child support wellsprings, success objects, walking phalluses, ATM machines, lottery tickets, unintelligent henchmen, valueless assassins, pro bono mercenaries, unpaid bodyguards, interchangeable stepfathers, child discipline proxies, unpaid repairmen, workhorses, emotional tampons, or any other socially accepted dehumanizing stereotype. We are thinkers, inventors, innovators, leaders, fathers, and men. Embrace your humanity, know your worth, and extend your time, attention, and resources only to those who genuinely respect you. And remember, your worth is not defined by meeting other people's narcissistic, selfish, and unrealistic needs. You define your worth. Peace.